Hi, I'm Darlene Carman, and welcome to the show. Mike Fair is an old world percussionist who has been studying West African and Arabic drumming for 25 years. He loves to introduce people, especially young people, to the drums. You can often find him conducting drum circles at street fairs. I recently watched him in action at one of these festivals. I was amazed to see people of all ages join him. Somehow, the music came together. Also on the show is Saaku Sarr, who brings joyous energies to the drum circles. Say, hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
For being here.
Thank you.
You know, when I watched you playing and watching the people, some of the people were just like with one hand hitting very slowly here and there. Other people would be very enthusiastically getting into the spirit. So I'm just wondering, how do you get random people with little or no experience to play in unison?
Well, that's a good question because people are just kind of walking by, drifting, you know, and they sit down. Some people sit down for 5 minutes and stop, and so I give instructions at the beginning so that everybody's kind of on board. But some people come later and they sit down, and so they just kind of try to pick up the pulse, you know, of what's going on, just be part of it.
Yeah, well, it sounded good to me. I mean, they all looked like they were having fun anyway. That's the main thing, right?
That's the main thing, yes.
So we'd like to hear about your experiences and also how you got started doing drum circles.
Well, I think being naturally drawn to the drum, it's kind of a path that you typically would end up doing something more in the community. And that's one of the reasons why I do it, is to get out there in the community and introduce people to hand drumming.
Okay. But your background, you're in bands? You've been in bands? Or what?
Yeah, I've been in several bands, you know, percussion bands, Arabic bands, playing traditional music from the Middle East and around, you know, different portions of the Mediterranean and whatnot over the years. But right now, I'm just doing hand drumming.
And you, Saaku?
It's West African. Well, being originally from West Africa, I have had drums around me all the time. Most of the ceremonies are led with drums. It's the main communication. And actually, if you look at it, you will find out that in many cultures they have drums. They use drums for communication. And the most beautiful aspect of it that I have seen is that it does healing. Drumming is all about rhythm, and we do everything in rhythm. Our breathing, when we eat, when we walk, when we talk, practically everything we do comes from the heartbeat. The heartbeat is the start of all.
So how did you start together doing the drum circles?
Well, that was a mere coincidence.
Yeah, we met at a drum circle.
At a drum circle, exactly.
And that's the drum has introduced me to so many different people, you know, in the dance community and the drumming community.
It's very, very neat to watch you guys play and just watch the people. But speaking of the people, what are the feedback? You know, what type do you get from the people that are participating? Does anybody talk to you and tell you how they like it or how they feel?
It's always positive.
Yeah?
I've had people say that they were in a bad mood and they just jumped in the circle and played and they were so happy and elated. And this is one of the aspects, you know, when you talk about the health benefits of drumming, is just the alleviating any stress. You know, just you can just be in the moment with other people just drumming with this unifying beat.
Do you have trouble getting people to leave? I mean, they want to sit there all day, right?
Some people sit for a long time, and some are challenged, and might take the challenge because they find that they're getting into a better place with it, and some might just shy away.
Yes.
But I believe that they would come back to it sometime.
I watched even these little tiny, I call them the diaper set, and it was just so funny to watch this. But you don't care. Whatever age comes along, you don't care. It just all works, right?
Children just gravitate to the drum.
What have you learned about the public, being out there with festivals? There's a lot of beer going on and things like that.
Yes.
So have you had any interesting incidences for the public?
I have,
Yes.
because I have a mat down on because of the sidewalk. I don't want the drums to get damaged, and
Yes.
and I don't like people to bring beer or wine
Yes.
into the circle because
Yes.
they make a mess. But those are the ones that are freer. They're like children. They're free and they go with, and they'll get up and dance if they hit them right. Which is really fun. People gather around to watch, and we have fun with it.
So it's a positive thing.
Oh, it's amazing how many people are touched by it. I would say basically those who are standing there watching are also, they might wiggle a toe or some fingers, or the head bobs here and there, but everybody seems to, it resonates, the drum resonates almost with everybody.
That's neat.
And it's very noticeable.
What do you like especially about teaching children or young people? What is it?
They seem to be free of anybody watching, the judgment. Am I doing it right? They just go at it. Adults are kind of more reserved. And it's like, am I doing it right?
Yes, yes.
But if they stay long enough, they'll realize that there's no mistakes, and just whatever comes out of you is an expression.
Well, there's been a lot of studies that have published the benefits of drum circles and participating in them. So maybe you could tell us about some of these health benefits.
Yes, well, online, you can actually research this and find out there are a lot of claims about, reducing anxiety,
Yes.
depression, and there has actually been some documentation that it helps. What was it? I was talking about. I can't remember the big one. But he has a good story about.
Well, let's hear your story.
Yes. Basically, like I said at the beginning, drumming is the idea of the rhythms, the biorhythms that we have. The heartbeat is where it starts. Breathing is another one. Walking, eating, and so on and so forth. So we're all attuned to it, and it attracts us. And what it does for us is make sure that we're at a rhythm where we can really inhale and exhale and breathe properly, and enjoy also the fact that we can have rhythms going, so that those rhythms can, they go up to benefiting those who have mental problems, for example. You have situations where the mentally ill are being cured with drumming, where they're sort of put into a trance, because it's understood that their rhythm is off. That's why they appear to be to have mental difficulties, mental disabilities. And that can be sort of put back into the rhythm that they need, which is the rhythm of their biorhythm, by responding to drumming. And it can go to an extreme where it looks like exorcism in some cases. In Africa, for instance, there is a specific one called Ndp, where they play drums and sing some songs, which are supposed to put you in a rhythm that is sort of a trance, where you sort of lose whatever rhythm you're in that is the wrong rhythm, and you end up either passing out or just fainting. And when you come back, there is a hope that you come back with your own normal biorhythms. And this could be many different sessions for you to sort of arrive to that point.
Don't you think it has a lot to do with the touching of the drums? To me, I'm a tactile person. I think it has a lot to do with touching
the touching.
drums.
Good point.
Yeah, the touching.
Yeah.
The touching is very important, because that's where you can really have a direct connection with the rhythm. That's why children love to drum. they would
Yeah.
drum on anything.
Yes.
I've had this experience
Pots and
because
pans.
I have introduced drumming in my teachings, to teaching elementary school children, and the parents always tell me about their misbehavior at home because they're now playing on everything, the tables, you name it, anything that can make a sound, because it's healing. It puts
Yes.
them in a place where they feel comfortable, they feel they can breathe, they feel they're okay.
And does it like, they get more quiet, right? Focused. You know, I know I do art with children and they just get more focused. And
Fine motor skills.
Yes.
It helps
yes.
them get those fine motor skills, and to get there you need to focus on the rhythm so that you're able to repeat it, because it's very repetitive. It's like heartbeats. It's that rhythm that is within you that makes you walk, makes you talk. And it helps breathing as well, because we often are so busy we probably don't breathe properly. The only time we're aware of it is when we decide to meditate. Otherwise, most of the time we're just hustle bustle running around,
That's true.
and we're sort of more or less suffocating ourselves a little bit.
Well, I looked up a little bit about drum circles, and they're bringing it now into the corporate offices and things like that, the workforce, doing workshops with it, and hospitals.
Yes.
And so forth. Have you had any experience, or is that something you want to get into? But you're very busy, I know, with the street fairs and things, and teaching your own classes.
Yes, that is something I would like to, get into. I know they kind of call it team building, to where people
Okay.
say one department in a company, within a company, will get together and drum, and then they would go and work on whatever problems that they have in their department.
I've seen pictures where like the room would be full, of all these people drumming. To me, I just think that they would all start giggling. And
Yes, it is part of it. It does happen. Yes, a lot of giggling, laughing at themselves, and laughing with everybody else.
well, that's healing
And
right there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
And a good facilitator of these drum circles could really make a difference, in how they all come together, by working with who's strong at drumming, or the novices, and including everybody at whatever skill level.
So I think if I'm hearing this correctly, it's much better to have, in a group, have an experienced teacher, better than just at home on the kitchen table, just by yourself. Why is that?
Well, simply because, there's things that you need to know before you start drumming. Is how to hit the drum without hurting your hand, and how to fit yourself into a particular rhythm. Just having the basic, and growing from that. Yeah.
So all these things that they really should do and should know before they get going.
Yes.
Well, what kind of drums do you use, and what's the difference between them?
Well, this drum, I consider this a meditational kind of drum. This is a frame drum. Like this, you'll find this drum in all cultures. Like the frame drum, and it has very nice, mellow tones.
Yes.
Another frame drum. Well, this would be called a tar, sort of like in Morocco. This would be is a rick in Egypt.
It's
They call it rick, R-I-Q. But see, this has a skin. So this is in the frame drum family. It's very nice. And Saaku is going to talk about the talking drum.
This is a talking drum. It's called a talking drum because of the different tones it can make. And some of the languages in Africa are tonal, like Mandinka, for example. The sound is very tonal. To say hello, for example, you say "Somohobedi, ikakenewa, mba mse," and the drum usually makes tones because it has a system that sort of, when you squeeze it, it makes a different sound.
Oh.
And it is
Is that
called
solid
the
all the
talking
way?
drum.
It's solid down here?
Yes, these strings are attached to the head,
It's like an hourglass.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is soft.
Yes, and when you squeeze it, it
gives.
pulls the skin or loosens it, and it modifies the sound.
And the strings are their purpose, besides holding it together,
Yes.
their strings are just,
Basically, they're the ones that change the sound, because
Okay,
by
it
pressing
doesn't
on
help
them,
with the sound.
yes, it helps, because
does.
when you press it, it pulls
Well,
the
sure,
head,
sure.
and the head, if it's
Yeah.
tighter,
Tightens.
the pitch changes.
nice. So now when the people are doing the drum circles, do they play any of those? Or do you teach that in your classes?
I
No,
teach
actually, just
yeah,
play it.
I teach this style, this Arabic that goes over.
Oh, how
like,
beautiful. Sounds familiar.
Yes.
but usually in the drum circles we use the bigger djembe, the
Okay.
West African style djembe.
Wow, this is beautiful. This is
Yes.
inlaid with
Yes.
mother of pearl.
I believe so.
Looks
yeah.
like mother of
Beautiful.
pearl. It's beautiful.
This is one of my favorite drums.
Oh, it's just
Sounds
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you only play the one. I'm looking at the other end to see what's over there.
That's where the sound is coming and hitting the ground and spreading all
Yeah.
those beautiful minerals.
But this one is it's usually played over your non-dominant, and your non-dominant hand is on top.
So now when somebody wants to learn the drums, do you
Yes.
start them all on one drum and then as they move on, is that the way it goes?
Absolutely.
Because it'd be too confusing to give them all at one time.
Right, right. If they have to want to study drum, and they tell me what style they want, because you can't do doumbek and djembe, at the same time, because the hand is different, and so it's best to learn one, get that under your belt first.
What's your favorite drum that you like to play? Or
My
we like 'em all.
my favorite drum would be, I guess, the djembe, because what I like in an ensemble, you have the various rhythms. You have a bass,
Layers.
you middle, and I really like the layering. And that's why it's easier to teach that in a festival, for people just passing by, because the drum is right out in front, and you balance in your strokes.
I saw several. It seemed like I saw several, but I wouldn't know what I was looking at. But it seemed like there was several. Do you occasionally give? I mean, you could probably tell if somebody has talent or if
Yes.
somebody's played, right?
Yes.
And they just
absolutely.
want to step aside.
As soon as they start, as soon as they pick up the drum and start, I
You can tell.
the ones that are music students, and so I will design exercises just to bring them out, but it's always a root rhythm that I start with, so that everybody can join in.
Join in
Yes.
and get. It's pretty basic,
Yeah, and-
right? I would
Right.
say it's pretty
Yes.
basic. Your classes, how long are they? You both teach, right?
Mike teaches more than I do. I'm
Okay.
more of a come and join the fun type of drummer.
That's why you're fun. You're joyous. Bring a lot of joy. But let's say a new beginning person. How many classes? Your classes are like 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
I have a class going on with this style, the doumbek. That's
You know what? It's
Yes.
time to hear what a drum circle
you want
sounds
a
like.
demonstration?
Please.
Okay, so let's
Please.
do it.
To the
Please. Joining us on the show, we have 3 crew members. We have Nozippo, John, and Pedro. And they're all going to sound really, really great.
Hello.
Okay, folks, what you want to do is tilt your drum forward. You got to kind of caress it with your legs, your calves, or your feet, or however you get that, so that the sound comes out of the bottom. And we're going to start with the bass beat, and that's just straight down. You get your thumb out of the way so you don't hurt it, and that's in the middle of the drum. Now, and then we'll introduce the tone a little later, and that's on the edge of the drum like that. Now, our fingers are still together. So what we're going to do is just start off with this pulse. And you lift your hand after you strike it so that
You want it to bounce.
it resonates. And now we're going to add a tone. So you notice that this, your right hand is just going steady. So we're going to take note of the space there. And now we're going to add another tone. So that basically stays the same. Bass, tone, bass, tone, bass, tone, bass, tone, bass, tone, bass, tone, bass. Now, since we want to get to the dancing portion of this, we're going to just kind of speed it up here. And we're going to start adding. We're going to add some more strokes to it. But if you ever get lost in all the strokes, you just drop back to this.
Come back to the basic.
So you can always come back here. We always have that. That pulse. So feel free, just dance around all day long. And like I said, there's no mistakes here. Now we're going to work on, like some people call it a cross pattern or 6/8. Think of it as a 3/4. It's the pulse. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're alternating our hand
To the center.
1, 1, 1, 1. Now we'll go to the basic. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can always go there. Very soothing rhythm, isn't it? Now,
my goodness. I'm sorry to interrupt. It sounded so great. All of you sounded great. Thank you so much for being here. Really, really enjoyed this show. Thank you for watching the show, and watch again.